So fathers were once seen as the primary breadwinners and disciplinarians, but modern fathers have evolved to become more involved in their children's upbringing. Today's dads prioritize emotional intelligence, gender equality, and a work-life balance, resulting in a positive impact on both the parent and the child. I spoke to Sthembiso Phakathi, founder of the Single Dads Foundation, in this pre-recorded interview. Take a look.
As a single dad myself, I figured that I was an absent father for a while for my kids, and I figured that there could be many other fathers out there that are actually going through the same thing, and we needed to break the cycle. And we believe as single fathers that we don't have rights to, as primary caregivers to our kids. And I saw that even in my family, we just provided, but financial resources and all kinds of things, but we were never present in our kids. So I figured that maybe we should start a movement to actually build the bridges between fathers and their kids, and for them to gain access and not just to provide. And then I started doing research. I spoke to a few people, and then they felt that this could be a very good support network to actually create that kind of support for the fathers.
And so here's the thing, you just touched on an important aspect, which is access to a child, and there are so many factors that can also contribute to a father not being able to access their child. And also our cultures sometimes also do play a role where you have factor in things such as intlawulo, and then you find that this now places a barrier to a gentleman being able to access their child. What sort of conversations are we not having in an open and honest manner when it comes to culture and the way they should perhaps also consider evolving?
Yeah, it's stereotypes, my brother, because we believe that whether you've paid in intlawulo or not, society has built the narrative that we just have to provide. And by the way, custody or primary caregiving is for the female or for the mothers. Then we just say from a distance, we will care from a distance. And then we're trying to demystify the notion that we just have to provide. So sometimes it's just societal ills or beliefs or traditions that actually make fathers, or single fathers specifically, to be just distant. So our motto is building bonds and destroying stereotypes, so that those stereotypes are actually challenged all the time. So in our network, we start conversations around all of those things, whether you are a single dad or you are married, because even in a marriage format, most people that we speak to say that dads do not have relationships with the kids. They just provide for them, but really, they are not emotionally involved in the kids' lives, and we're trying to change that as well.
And here's the thing also, this is also at a time where we're having conversations about what a hurt nation we are right now, and that is because we are lacking father figures. How are we planning on breaking boundaries and making sure that this is not just a conversation we have just on Father's Day, but also just moving forward with it?
That is why I created the network, because I felt that fathers and single fathers should be celebrated every day, but also we need to empower them to get closer to their kids. So we work with NPOs, NGOs, there's fatherhood groups that we collaborate with to try and create awareness. Through our podcast, we create awareness about parenting. Parenting has got very little to do with financial resources or income or affordability. We are saying that time and attention is a primary thing that any father should give to their kids. And parenting is not a gender role. And kids really need both parents, whether they are paying maintenance or not. And we challenge single mothers that believe that if you're not paying maintenance, you shouldn't have access to the child. In fact, on my podcast, one gentleman approached me and said his girlfriend has cut access because he missed the maintenance 2 or 3 months prior, and then therefore he was blocked to have access to the child. And we challenge things like that because it just doesn't make sense. Whether you live with the child or you pay maintenance or not, you should have access to them.
And also, it's actually just one thing to talk about networks such as yours, and it's another to have the gents actually come through and access them. What's the appetite like when it comes to the network, your network in particular? Yeah,
they do come. So, but men are not inherently, but are generally very scared to open up and share their challenges, especially around parenting. But because our podcast invites all kinds of dads, and mainly single dads, I think more and more people are coming up and sharing their stories. Because storytelling policy is very powerful. They are basically saying that, listen to my story. Perhaps there could be someone out there that can relate to it. Just through sharing our experiences as single dads, suddenly we create a movement where people are free to tell their stories. And also, single moms come to my show and say, the dad is on the run. How can you help me find him? How can you help him get closer to his child? And that also is powerful because now the stories that we tell are getting both sides actually coming closer. In fact, we're saying the parenting journey is a long journey, but it starts with conversation. And both sides now are starting to come together and they are realizing that parenting is a responsibility that you can't run away from.
And you've touched on one of the important challenges that single dads face in modern day South Africa, which is access. Talk to us more about some of the challenges that single dads actually encounter.
Yeah, especially the young ones. And I was a dad when I was 19. So I basically knew nothing about fatherhood or parenting. So my kids at that point when I was a young man were raised by my family. So the young ones would say, listen, help us navigate. I want to focus on education and finding jobs and those kinds of things. But the mother has just basically taken custody and she will not allow me to see the kids. That's one thing. The second thing is around financial responsibility and decisions. They will say, for instance, we can't agree on how we spend on the child, which school we send them to, where we raise them and how we raise them. So in my network, we've got a panel of experts from financial advisors, consultants around childcare, psychologists, and as well as education psychologists. So this panel of experts provide pro bono services to our network where they advise on the dads battling with all of those kinds of things, emotional and mental well-being, disagreements around finances, disagreements around where and how to raise kids. And then hopefully we're going to create a situation where we normalize for single dads to come to our network to actually drink from the fountain of insights, ideas are also around sharing stories. Other single dads come in and say, we have disagreements around custody. Should I go to the courts? Should I go to the family advocate, or where should I go? And we advise them about those things as well, because we've got experts as panels to advise them.
And also quite concerning right now is that conversations that we have men that run away from responsibility of fatherhood purely because they were not fathered or fathered properly.
Yes.
Let's talk about what we need to be doing right now on Father's Day to ensure that we move and pay these conversations forward.
I'm glad you asked that, because this morning we're shooting part of season 4 on the Single Dads Network. We're talking exactly about that sometimes how we behave and how we handle our parenting responsibilities as dads is based on how we were raised. I was raised from a very big family. I'm the last in a family of 10. You can imagine, there's no way a father in a family of 10 can give attention to all 10 kids. Basically, I was raised by my siblings. But I can't repeat that to my kids. So the idea is to say, understand that you can forgo the manner in which you were raised and you can't repeat that to your kids. We want to break cycles where we say that understand that parenting responsibilities, especially from the ages of 1 to 18, is something that you have to carry with you. I always say to young people that start having families now, do you understand you're signing a project of 18 to 20 years? So the way you are raised, yes, it has a bearing or impact on the way you raise your kids, but we've got programs of how we're trying to disconnect from that and make sure that we empower single dads and dads, generally speaking, around the parenting responsibilities without looking at the way in which they will raise themselves.
Let's talk about the father and son hike that is taking place.
Today.
Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so we always say, well, this is very good because we've got activities in the Single Dads Network. 70% of our work is educational insights and as well as spiritual, but then 30% is around fun, creating bonds. We find that when we do activities with our sons, we create bonds. So today, when we arrange that hike was about exactly that. So we found that when we do activities, we play with them, we do activities, we create bonds. So this is one of the activities that we're going to be doing throughout the year. In fact, in the year as single dads, we've got 3 seasons in a year, and then we've got about 9 activities, and those activities are designed to create bonds, especially between father and boys.